the whole thing still excites me. So I'm not sure where I stand there, but I'm pretty sure they scare me as hell. I think it was evident for 2 seconds in that video that, this whole thing freaks me out. But in a good way, though. In a good way. And I feel so good. I'm happy that I did this.
Meet Palle Bo, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world.
My name is Palle Bo, and I'm a long-time radio producer. In 2013, I started planning to become a digital nomad, and in July 2016, I set out on a quest to visit every country in the world.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
Good morning, guys. It's day 3 of my road trip here in South Africa, and today I'm driving from Oudtshoorn down to Knysna. It's still on the garden route. It's not that far today. It's only 120 kilometers, and that's good because Knysna is supposed to be a very nice little city with a lagoon and I've heard good things about it, so I hope to get there in the early afternoon so I have some time to see some more of Knysna before I drive on tomorrow morning. But here, only 5 kilometers away from where I stayed in Oudtshoorn, I've made my first stop. Here's a place called Safari Ostrich Farm. It's an ostrich place, and like I mentioned yesterday, Oudtshoorn is the ostrich capital of the world. That's what they call themselves. And here is an ostrich farm and an ostrich safari. So I'm going on that in just a few minutes, and you can join me. My name is Palle Bo, and this is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
So, first of all, we're starting with a walking section. You'll see the different types of ostriches. We can feed them, we can...
Safari Ostrich Farm in Oudtshoorn here on the Garden Route in South Africa was established as a tourist attraction in 1956 by two good friends, Derek Fish and Harry Lipsitch, both fourth-generation ostrich farmers.
They also love shiny objects, so just be aware of that as well. They might just grab it from you and they won't give it back.
And they run.
Yeah. The fastest running flightless bird...
On their website, they say that their main concern is farming ostriches on an extensive basis for meat, leather, skins and feathers. So on the ostrich farm, you can get to see a commercial ostrich breeding farm with many ostriches in their different stages of development.
But today, very nice weather for us. It can rise up to 48 degrees Celsius here.
The farm is about 1,800 hectares in size, and they keep the ostriches in camps according to their age. Our guide, Carla, says that they give some of the ostriches names after famous people.
So Carla, we're here with all the ostriches here that you used for the farm, and you gave them names. There's a Madonna, Lady Gaga,
and Michael Jackson, yes. Jack the Ripper, Susie the Stripper.
And inside you have a shop that sells handbags and all kinds made out of ostrich leather, which was something I did not know that you could actually do. Yeah. And you have a restaurant serving ostrich meat. I don't expect that you could eat Michael Jackson here at some point.
No. Well, the best age to eat them and make the handbags and all that is about 14 months, because the younger we do it, the better the quality. Yeah. So the ostriches we see here are mostly 5 to 10 years old. So you wait until 60 years, the meat will be very, very tough. So we don't use these ones. No.
They made it across the point of no return, so now they're here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, as I've mentioned, we have up to 1,000 ostriches, but we can host up to 3,000. So, we only see the shorebirds on this side.
So further away, you have a farm that actually produces ostriches.
Well, this farm is 1,800 hectares. So, this is the show side. On the other side, that's the working side of the farm. So, and also, we don't do the leather and the products. We take it to the abattoir. There, everything is made. So, we sell the ostriches to them. Yeah.
Personally, I think that the ostrich Lady Gaga was very beautiful, and the ostrich Michael Jackson, I think it took a liking to the young male ostriches, but then again, that might just have been me. Special male and female birds are selected for breeding purposes and will be placed together in big camps to mate and lay eggs. They have around 280 breeding ostriches, of which 60% are female and 40% are male. During the breeding season, from June to February, you'll be able to see the miracle of ostrich chicks hatching in incubators. Their big incubators have a capacity for 3,000 ostrich eggs at the same time. They have an ostrich farm tour, and when I knew that I was going to Oudtshoorn, I really wanted to do this. It's the only tractor safari on an ostrich farm in South Africa.
And also the tags they're wearing on the neck. It's only for identification and to avoid inbreeding. So all of them either have that on the neck or under the wings. But only the naughty ones have the nose rings. Perhaps you've seen some of them wearing something through the nose. It's to prevent them from plucking the
I think it's interesting to see and learn something new about this weird bird, a species whose ancestors have been around since the ages of the dinosaurs. The safari guys explain the natural breeding cycle of ostriches with a view of the largest birds in the world right next to us.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've mentioned you should go lay flat on your stomach if they want to attack you, but 160 kilograms on you, that will also going to be a problem, and they can sit or stand on you for a few minutes to a few hours.
After the tractor safari, we continued on foot and looked at the incubator rooms inside. I got to experience a real working ostrich farm, and I can highly recommend it. By the way, I put a link to the website and a lot of photos on the radiovagabond.com. This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels around the world. Hotels25.com.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
Knysna is a quaint town located in the Western Cape in South Africa, in the heart of the world-famous Garden Route. We're 70 kilometers away from the airport in George, 260 kilometers from Port Elisabeth, and about 500 kilometers from Cape Town. Again, for this episode, I put a map on the radiovagabond.com so you can see where I've been driving, and also a map of the area here in Knysna.
So now I've arrived to Knysna. I'm at the waterfront right now. You know, one of those typical beautiful waterfronts with a lot of restaurants and cafes and small shops. And thank you. And I just got a cup of coffee. When I sort of realized that I would arrive to Knysna at a little to 2, I wrote to my Airbnb host, is it okay if I check in at 2 o'clock? And she wrote back, hi Pelle, that is perfectly fine to me to check in at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Uh-oh. And then I realized that I made a reservation for tomorrow when I'm in Port Elisabeth and not today. That is totally my mistake. I wrote back to her, oh, I made a mistake. I am so sorry. I'll be in Port Elisabeth tomorrow. Is there any chance I can get the room today and not tomorrow? And then she wrote back to me, hi Pelle, you are lucky. We just had a couple checking out earlier today. They were supposed to stay tonight still. But please give me an hour to get the room ready for you. You're most welcome to stay tonight. Kind regards, Letitia. That was so lucky. So I do have a place to stay tonight. And I wrote back, I'm just getting a cup of coffee and see you in an hour or so. That was lucky. It could have been me spending the day hunting for a place to sleep tonight. But I got the room, so everything's good.
When Oudtshoorn is big on ostriches, Knysna is mostly famous for another animal, oysters. So even though I've never been a big oyster eater, I just had to see if I liked them better this time around. So I go to a restaurant called 34 South at the Waterfront in Knysna after a long walk to Knysna Head to see the sunset.
I've just been to Knysna Head to see the sunset. If you're in Knysna, I suggest that you go there. It's a viewing point by the ocean, and it's again, I know I'm using that word very much here on the garden route. It is so beautiful. But here I am waiting for my oysters, and let me see if I change my mind on the taste of it. It's been 30 years, and I think I've grown up since then. So here I am at the restaurant 34 South, and you're the oyster specialist of Knysna. Is that right?
Yes, the home of Knysna oyster.
What is so special about the oysters right here?
They are local.
They're local?
Yeah, and so Afrikaans they say local is lekker, it means local is good.
Yeah. And you recommended that I get the oyster experience.
The oyster experience, the next time you'll know exactly which one is the best, because you're getting 4 different oysters. You're getting a large oyster, a medium, a small, wild, and a cultivated.
I had oysters, I'm being honest here, I had oysters 30 years ago, and I didn't like it. So you think my taste bud might have changed?
There are other options also.
But that was in San Francisco, so that...
Okay.
Yeah.
There's also, if you don't like raw oysters, you can start by grilled oysters.
Yeah.
It's covered in garlic butter and blue cheese under the salamander.
So the oyster experience, that's all raw?
It's all raw. The grilled oysters preparation is the same like snails.
Okay. I'm being a little bit chicken, so I'm going with the grilled oysters.
Chicken is fine, but oysters is oysters.
Yeah.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. Let me have the grilled
Very
oysters.
good.
Thank you.
When I said I'm being a bit chicken, I think he thought that I said that I like chicken better.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Need some Tabasco on the side?
I have no idea what I need.
Actually, it's better.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Okay, my oysters are here, and they look good. And this was day 3 of my road trip here in South Africa. Tomorrow I'm getting up early to get an early start because I got a long way to go, and I have a lot to see along the way here from Knysna to Port Elisabeth. And I'm so looking forward to that.
Anyway, I tried the grilled oyster, and it was good. It was okay. I must admit, I don't really get what the fuss is about with oysters. Actually, I like chicken better, or ostrich for that matter. Coming up, join me as I visit the world's highest bridge bungee jump and speak to some of the brave jumpers.
How was it?
It's life-changing, seriously. You feel like you're dying and you're living at the same time.
My name is Palabo. That's in a minute when the program continues. I've got an email from a listener that I'd like to share with you. Hi, Pala. We met in a pub in Toronto a few years ago. I've been following your travels ever since. We actually missed each other in Addis Ababa by about a week. I had a good laugh when listening to your story about the dancing students scam. My friend and I were harassed by the same guy for days. Sorry, mate, but we smelled that scam a mile away. We also flew down to Cape Town just after that. It's truly a special place. I enjoy listening to your podcast, and I'm reliving that excellent trip while I work in construction, operating heavy machinery near Toronto. You help us get away during times when we just cannot. Keep up the good work, Peter Samandel. Hi, Peter. I remember you from one of my visits to Toronto, even though I can't really place what pub it was. I've been to so many pubs in Toronto. Oh, remember when we were able to go to a pub? I miss the good old days. Actually, Toronto is also one of my favorite cities in the world, so I'm sure I'll be back. What Peter's talking about with the dancing students scam in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia is something I talk about in episode 135 I can't believe I fell for it. And maybe that was why I was so angry. Mostly angry at myself and not so much at the guys doing it. Thanks again, Peter, for reminding me of that. If you also want to drop me a line, you can now use the form on my brand new website, theradiovagabond.com. Just go to contact and fill out the form. That's what Peter did. Or simply, still, you can send me an email on listener@theradiovagabond.com. Maybe I'll read out your email right here, or even feature your message or parts of it on the front page of the website. Okay, now back to the show.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
It's day 4 of my South African road trip, and today I'm driving from Knysna to Port Elisabeth.
I was driving straight east along the coastline on the N2 highway. Again, the view from the window of my Toyota Corolla was unreal. I'm in the Garden Route National Park, and I made quite a few stops on the way.
I had an early start today. I set my alarm clock to 6:30, and already 7:15 I was heading out of Knysna. It's a beautiful little city that I could easily have spent a full weekend. But today I'm heading to Port Elisabeth. It's a 250 kilometers drive, and one of the first places I get to is a place called Plettenberg Bay. And shortly after that, the bridge, Blue Krans Bridge, is under the wheels. This is the bridge where they do the world's highest bridge bungee jump. I stopped to take a look at it.
It's on the border between the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape. In order to set up what happens here, I need to take you back in time when I was in a totally different part of the world, Macau, close to Hong Kong. I was there in November 2016, and the day after Trump got elected, not that this has anything to do with it, I saw myself standing on the top of Macau Tower, having a huge rubber band strapped to my ankles. Here's what happened next.
It was almost time, and with a safety line on my back, I take tiny steps out on the platform, out on the scaffold. Here, the long bungee cord is secured to the harness by assistant number 2. The only thing I can remember thinking while I was waiting for him to finish is, I'm not doing this. I'm just not. How the hell did I end up here? Now I'm just half a meter from the edge, and with 15 tiny steps, I move further so my toes are just over the edge. I remember I'm scared falling down, even though that's technically the point of it all. Assistant number 2 has a tight grip in my harness, and suddenly I feel a hand from the grinning guy from before. I'm still thinking, I'm just not doing this. And then I can feel his hand, the human contact. I just want to hold on to this hand and never let go. I just wanted to give him a hug and make him say, "Don't worry, it was just a joke, you don't have to do this." But I know it's not gonna happen, and that I can't hesitate and have second thoughts right now. I'm on the edge with my arms out to each side. I'm hyperventilating and thinking, this is it, when they start the countdown.
Here we go! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lean forward!
Wait a second. What you're about to hear now is something that I'm not proud of. I didn't think that I was going to scream, but I did. I screamed like I've never screamed before. I screamed until there were no more air in my lungs. Then I took a deep breath and screamed some more, because I was still falling.
You can find the entire episode of my experience in Macau on theradiovagabond.com. Just search for Macau, and you get to see a picture of me being really, really scared. Yes, that was me doing the world's highest bungee jump. from Macau Tower. That's 233 meters, 764 feet above the ground, and it's the highest bungee jump in the world. Here in South Africa, we find another record holder. Blue Kranz Bridge Bungee is recognized as the world's highest commercial bridge bungee jump at 216 meters, 709 feet above the Blokranz River. So not quite as high as the one that I did in Macau, but really high and terrifying. It's been operated by Face Adrenaline commercially since '97, and going in there I had no intentions of doing it. I mean, there was no need since I've already done the highest, and I didn't. This time around I wanted to focus on looking at it and speaking to some of the people who were doing it without adrenaline floating through my own body. And the first one I spoke to was Quentin Smith from Pretoria. He just got his harness on and was about to do the world's highest bridge bungee jump.
Yes, I am.
You scared?
Nope.
No?
No.
Not at all?
Nothing.
You think you will be when you're up there?
I don't think so, no.
Where do you get that?
I don't know. It's just since I was small.
Yeah?
I wasn't scared of doing nothing.
Fearless? Yeah. You done any other crazy stuff in your lifetime?
Yeah, there's a place in KwaZulu-Natal, Orbi Gorge. I've done that jump 3 times now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you're the kind of guy that does backflips and stuff like that? And
well, yeah. If I can.
I think I'll just be standing watching.
Okay.
Maybe talk to you when you get back to see
All
if
right.
you...
No, that's fine. That's fine.
You seem very, very relaxed.
Quentin was surprisingly relaxed. I think my pulse was higher than his. But there was also 2 girls, Tanisa and Kulula, who looked a bit more nervous. They also just got their harness on, and I asked them if they were sure about doing this.
Not really, not 100%.
You done this before?
No, it's first time.
Anything crazy like this before?
I've only done zip lining, but it's not this crazy though. It's not the same, so it's quite scary.
What do you think your feelings will be when they start the countdown? 5, 4, 3.
I'm gonna have. I think they're gonna have to start 3 times.
I think you shouldn't hesitate. I think you should just don't. If you skip the first countdown, then the second will be more difficult.
That's what I told myself also. Like as soon as they say go, I'm just gonna go. Not think a lot about it. You know. Yeah. So we'll see.
You seem very relaxed right now.
Yes, for now, because I'm blocking it.
Can I feel your pulse?
I'm blocking it in my head. I'm gonna face it when I get there. I'm sure when I get there, I'm gonna start shaking. Definitely, yeah.
Because they saw me holding a microphone, they let me go on to the bridge after signing some waivers saying that it wasn't their fault if I fell down or something to that effect. Actually, it's a walking bridge under the road I was driving on just a few minutes before, and the bridge was very safe with ledges, so I wasn't scared. I remember when I was at Macau Tower, they had loud music playing, which is always a little bit annoying for someone like me doing a podcast.
For some reason, there's always loud music around a bungee jump.
Oh, yes. That's to calm the fear.
Yeah. Oh, that's it.
Yes.
So Conan, you're the jump master.
Yes,
Have you been doing this for long?
Yes, sir. 15 years now.
15
and
years.
find it amazing.
How many jumps on an average day?
80 to 100 a day.
How many accidents in the 15 years?
In this 20 years, no accidents. Safety comes first.
Yeah. Do you still jump?
Yes, sir. Whenever we want to. Yeah. And it's amazing all the time.
That's a perk in the job, isn't it?
Oh, yes. To go jumping whenever you want to, yes.
But still, even though I guess you're not scared when you jump, but you can still feel the adrenaline.
The adrenaline is still there. There is always a little bit of fear, but once you're off, it's delicious.
Wow.
Flying, it's amazing out there.
Yeah.
That was actually something I also talked to the jump master in Macau about. He'd done thousands of jumps and wasn't scared. But as he told me, my brain knows that this is not going to kill me, but my body doesn't. So I'm still getting a shot of adrenaline every time I jump. So he did a jump if he had a bad start of the day. If he was grumpy or feeling down for some reason, he took a jump and got a shot of adrenaline that would keep him flying through the rest of the day. Then it was time for Knysna to jump. And she was good. Didn't hesitate and just jumped when she was told to. And then we could hear her screaming all the way down to the canyon. When she came back, she was on a high.
How was it?
It's life-changing, seriously. You feel like you're dying and you're living at the same time. I'll do it, maybe.
What did you think just before you jumped?
I don't want to do it anymore. But then I was there like, okay, what the fuck? Jump!
Were you getting the feeling, oh, I wish somebody would say, oh, you don't have to do it, it's just a joke. It's just a joke.
Someone could save me. Even when I was in the air, I was like, somebody please save me. I don't know where I'm going, you know. But it was good. It was good.
Now you can do anything the rest of the day.
Definitely. I feel big now. I'm awesome. Thank you, man.
Let me get back to cool Quentin from Pretoria after his jump. Remember that he was just super calm and relaxed just before the jump?
Even just after you came up, you still seemed relaxed. Are you
Yeah,
still?
I am.
Weren't you a little bit scared?
Nothing. Not at all. No.
Not even a pulse?
Nothing. A little bit of a butterfly in the stomach, but I didn't shake a lot. Nothing. No.
I envy you, man.
Thanks.
And then it was Kulula's turn. She seemed very nervous with her arms around the shoulders of the two guys from Face Adrenaline and being carried out to the edge of the bridge. At the end of the countdown, she gave a short scream, more like a gasp, and then she was falling without a sound.
3, 2, 1. She was just doing a small...
Here she is when she's back up.
How was it?
I'm not gonna lie, you literally die and then you come back to life. And then you admire the nature of life.
You didn't get the long scream, you just had a...
I didn't scream.
You just had...
I didn't scream. I had a moment where I had my eyes closed, but then again...
You had one small...
Yeah. I
have it on tape.
Did you? But I don't think I'm ever gonna do it again. I'm not sure.
Now you've done it, right? You don't need to prove by doing it again. No.
We must go higher next time.
Yeah, do the Macau Tower like I did.
Right where you're jumping, they have a camera attached to a metal beam. The camera is to capture your face just before you're jumping. And there was a third girl, Zama. As she was about to fall, her instinct took over and she tried to grab onto the beam. I spoke to her after she came back on the bridge, and just a slight warning, maybe it was the adrenaline, but she talks really fast, so move a little bit closer and listen carefully.
So what happened with you out there?
Hey, that was 2 seconds.
You just as you were about to jump and did the countdown?
Something changed. I was about to say no, and then I was mid-air. Guys,
you reached up as to hold on to something?
I was holding on to that camera situation, thinking I'll just hang there and just go back. Okay, I won't lie, I wasn't thinking.
It was just an instinct.
It was just my natural instinct, because I don't know, it was like, oh my goodness, no. I'm jumping, sorry. It was so far, but so nice. After that 2 seconds, everything was just so perfect. Yeah. And then the next thing, it is over so quickly. I guess such is life, but nah, guys, it's so much fun. I want to do it again, actually. When I come back, I'm gonna try to do it without trying to hold back. I think that's the game plan for now.
Without the bungee cord.
No way. That's a death application. But I do want to go on a tandem skydive, though. I'll definitely want to do that.
Do you always talk this fast, or is it the adrenaline?
I think I talk this fast. People always complain when I speak. So it's such a debate.
The adrenaline doesn't make it better.
It's not helping at all. And I'm still feeling pumped, yeah?
Oh, the next 2 days you can do anything.
Right? And I'm going abseiling later today. So it's gonna
too much
be
in one day.
More pump for one day. It's gonna be really nice.
So where are you going abseiling?
There's this Canyon Adventures that hosts the whole thing. So that's where we're gonna do the whole thing. Oh my god!
When she's talking about abseiling, it's basically the same as rappelling. Well, technically there's a bit of a difference, but I won't get into that. According to the Oxford Dictionary, abseiling is when you descend a rock face or another near vertical surface by using a doubled rope coiled around your body and fixed to a higher point. Get that? By the way, they do the abseil from the top of Table Mountain. So what a day for Sama. The world's highest bridge bungee and then abseiling after that. I bet she speaks really fast at the end of the day.
So much in one day.
More heights. Yeah. I guess I've always been scared of heights. I still am, but for some reason, the whole thing still excites me. So I'm not sure where I stand there, but I'm pretty sure they scare me as hell. I think it was evident for 2 seconds in that video that this whole thing freaks me out, but in a good way though, in a good way. And I feel so good. I'm happy that I did this.
This pretty much sums it up what bungee jumping is all about. You are scared. You think, or at least your body thinks, that you're going to die, but once you've done it, you feel good about yourself and happy that you did it. As for me, when I was driving away with Blue Crans Bridge in the rearview mirror, I was kind of regretting that I didn't do it too. I promise myself and you that I will do this bungee jump whenever I'm in this part of the world again. There it is. I've said it out loud, and you can remind me to keep my word if you ever notice I'm here again.
Something just like the touch of bodies and beats meeting up on the thrill. Up on the thrill. This feels like falling too much. Putting out fire with some glitter and pills. With some glitter and pills.
That was all we have time for in this episode of the Radio Vagabond. In a few seconds, I have a clip from the next one. But before that, I have 3 quick things I want to say. First of all, have you seen my brand new website? There are still a few things I want to add to it, but personally, I think it's way cooler than the old one. A lot of new features on it, longer articles, and an easy way for you to write to me. Just head to contact and fill out the form. The second thing I want to mention is that you could and should use Hotels 25 whenever you're starting to travel again after the pandemic. They are lifting travel bans in most countries now, at least for domestic travel, so Hotels 25 might come in handy for you. It's a tool that helps you find the best prices on a place to stay. Not only hotels, also apartments, hostels and guest houses. I use it for myself for my travel planning all the time, and I highly recommend that you do the same. Hotels25.com. And the third and last thing I'd like to mention, if you enjoy this podcast, would you do me a favor? Think of a friend of yours that also like to travel. Someone who might not know about the Radio Vagabond. And then send them an email or a message recommending it to them. And if everyone listening to this would send just one message, and those people would actually listen, that would double the number of people listening, and that would make me twice as happy. Okay, enough plugging. Here's a clip from the next episode.
I think there's something wrong there with your vehicle.
What? heard of it.
The Radio Vagabond is produced by me and my production company Radio Guru. This is where I also help others, companies and bloggers to start a podcast. In fact, I've just been a guest on 3 webinars about starting a podcast just this month. And if you like some help or just a few tips and tricks, please don't hesitate to reach out. We continue the road trip next week. My name is Palle Bo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya!